All right, what's up, guys? Here we go. We're live. Let me do a quick audio check. Make sure you guys can hear me. What's up, Instagram? How's it going? YouTube, can you guys hear me? Oh, we've got some good stuff to share today. YouTube, can you hear me? Okay, here we go. Welcome, everyone. Close Gonzalez from Denver. What's up? G Dog, what's up? Okay. Alex Katsanos, what's up, brother? All right, guys, we've got some important information to cover today, and it involves building your sexual confidence. I'm going to share some big secrets to improving your sexual confidence and overcoming performance anxiety and really stepping into mastery in the bedroom. And this really involves, well, becoming more of yourself, allowing all of you to be present within this whole process. But let's get right into it, okay? First of all, as you guys may or may not know, my Sex God course is open for registration right now. Registration is closing this evening. I'll talk more about that, but you can sign up for the link. There's one on my Instagram bio. It's on this YouTube video as well. So, what I want to share in this specific, um, there we go. Move the camera out of view. Okay, I wanted to kind of cover two aspects. We're really one in particular that have a very profound impact on this. But one is um of course there's like the daily practice of there's techniques, there's certain practices we do in sexual kung fu that of course upgrade your sexual skill set, upgrade your ejaculation control, and this is a part of what is going to build confidence for you, is to be able to control your ejaculation, of course. But there's an even deeper aspect to this, and this is kind of the direct daily work of releasing sexual inhibitions, really personal and sexual inhibitions, because these things are always related, of course. So that's what I'm going to really focus on in this. But it's important to know, and I think that this is going to be very helpful when you really understand this, especially if you're someone who if you're a man who experiences timidity in the bedroom. If you experience performance anxiety, you tend to feel nervous and going into sex, going into intimacy, rather than just having like rock solid confidence and just like, fuck yeah, I got this. So let's talk about inhibitions, sexual inhibitions. An inhibition is some kind of like you're holding yourself back. It's it's a filter. It's a constriction of sort. And most of us have developed a lot of inhibitions around our sexuality. And this is pretty much always rooted from shame and negative programming around our bodies, around sexuality, based on how we were taught about it, based on the inherent shame and negative frame that sexuality is often put in our society. And we get a lot of like conflicting images. There's a lot of confusion. There's religious, political influences. There's all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of baggage around that. And of course, this creates a lot of sexual inhibitions, a lot of just basically you're carrying this weight of shame. You're carrying this um, a blockage. You're carrying a blockage in your system, and it shuts down your ability to be yourself, to enjoy sex, to enjoy life in general, to be able to connect with others. And a lot of this is also rooted in past negative sexual experiences, traumas. Obviously, if you were sexually abused, that's going to have some, heavy charge around it. But it's also like for a man, it's common for us men to have had embarrassing sexual situations, especially early on in our, our sexual journey. I certainly had my fair share in my teenage years. And what happens is some of these experiences, they become stuck in our field. We start to associate how we felt at that moment with the act of sex itself. So there's all this kind of negative charge wrapped around it. So what's happening is as you become aroused, as you're in a similar situation when you're getting intimate with the partner, then you go back into that experience of shame, that experience of embarrassment, of guilt, of whatever it is, a nervousness. And so that becomes ingrained as your sexual response. And so the problem is that for a lot of men, when they start to develop this kind of negative charge around the sexual experience, the embarrassment, the shame, the self-judgment, this becomes their dominant state during sex, during sexual arousal. And this is one of the main contributors to premature ejaculation, to erection issues, um, and just not really being able to like enjoy sex, ultimately, not to have the kind of sex that you could be having. So what this really requires is, well, first of all, let me frame it this way. Because don't we all want to have really incredible, amazing sex? I certainly do, and I did for a long time. But it, I had all this like inhibition around truly asking for what I wanted, and being able to assert to my partner like what I want the sexual experience to be, where I want it to go, feeling like embarrassed around my true sexual desires and all these things. So it's difficult to have incredible sex when you're afraid of what it is you actually want. And you're afraid to express it. You're afraid to create it, and so there becomes this split in your mind and your body, this sort of neuroses. And so here's the thing: when you're afraid to express yourself in a sexual situation, when there's this inhibition, this sexual inhibition, this nervousness, this timidity, usually that is also occurring in your daily life. So socially, when you're interacting with others, are you very timid? Are you very locked up and tense and just like, oh fuck, like what am I going to say? What are they going to think of me? Because these patterns are always related. So sex is where there's no hiding. There's no hiding things. This is where all the stuff comes out, is in the bedroom. And sometimes that surfaces as the inability to become erect. Sometimes it surfaces as ejaculating too quickly. Um, this is where everything comes out. So there's no hiding. So that's why this work is so powerful, because our sexual experience, it's coming from this deep primal core of our being. And there's this deep vulnerability with it. And the sexual work allows you to really make profound changes in your life, in your mind, in your body, in your emotionality, in your nervous system, everything. This is one aspect of like why sexual practices were used in tantra systems, is that there's all this charge around sexuality and our interactions with others. And so it becomes a way to kind of bring up these triggers to get clear on like, oh, these are my limitations. This is my limiting pattern. This is this looping pattern that I have in my mind, my body, the thoughts that I have. And so these become mirrors to show you where you're truly at and how to work with them, or what you can be working on. Okay. So what this is really about, like what helps overcome inhibitions, and this is also very rooted often in the kind of the nice guy syndrome as well, people pleasing patterns, where I've talked about this a lot, but basically what I'm talking about with the nice guy thing is men who use niceness because they're like fake niceness. That's their go-to approach, is neutralize any conflict, neutralize any like you know individuality I have. Basically, the most important thing for the nice guy is to be validated and approved of by the people around them. And so this shows up in the bedroom as a fear of you being who you truly are, out of a fear of that not being attractive to your partner. And so we already have a contrivance here. You're contriving your behavior to try to be likable. But what happens is it prevents you from being your true authentic self, and it prevents that person from ever being able to feel you, being able to be your bold, authentic nature. It's like, yeah, I can get more into that. So basically, what's important here, and I've talked about this a lot, but like it often comes from childhood patterns. Mommy or daddy got upset and they yelled at me, and I was afraid that they weren't going to feed me because I was a baby and I didn't really understand that this wasn't actually a threat to my survival, but it seemed to be it that way. And so now you get into this pattern of I must please mommy and daddy in order to stay alive. And then that just becomes a subconscious program and it becomes I must please everyone around me to stay alive. And it's not even true. But that's the belief system. And so in a sexual context, this becomes very prevalent as well. So one of the most important parts of my journey in my journey of sexual mastery was starting to release my sexual inhibitions. And for me, it was things um, like such a stupid simple thing like making sound. Like when I was getting into sexual kung fu techniques, I naturally started like vocalizing more, making more sound, expressing pleasure vocally. And I realized how I was afraid to do that. I felt the shame around it, which didn't make any sense really, because I enjoyed when my partner made sound to express their sexual pleasure. But um, I had all the shame around doing it myself. So that was one of the like most obvious and direct things. But then there's been other layers of, for example, pleasuring myself in front of my partner. That was something that had this like shameful charge around it. And then once I started doing it, like just being comfortable touching my body, exploring my own body, and whether my partner's there watching or not, like that was another thing that I just felt very empowered by, in a sense of like, I'm going to own my sexual desire. I'm going to own pleasure. Like I don't need to be like timid and nervous and I don't know, should I do this? And just be like, this is what I want to do. I'm going to fucking go for it. Instead of like asking my partner a million questions. Well, is this okay? Is that okay? Like obviously, um, consent is important here, but like there comes a point in the relationship where if your partner's okay with something or not. So that's when you can be less like having the uncertainty and the well, maybe this, maybe that, and you just do the thing. Look, by reading their body, reading if they're okay with it. And this is what I feel like it is to be a man in the relationship is you are asserting, you're leading the situation, you're guiding them through it. And there's this primal nature to it. And women love that. And I didn't have that for a long time because I was afraid of this. And so it's no wonder why, I was running into a lot of issues with attraction and polarity in my relationship earlier in my life. So, um, okay. So basically, we can say that sexual inhibition, like having these inhibitions around your sexuality, it shows up as not feeling comfortable in taking the lead in intimacy, having a fear of sharing your sexual desires, like being afraid of saying what you actually want sexually, having shame around your body, shame around fear around making sound, being really quiet and holding everything in, simply allowing yourself to fully enjoy the thing instead of being like in your head thinking, what are they thinking? Are they okay with this? Do they hate this? You're just overthinking, which is one of the biggest boner killers. But just enjoying yourself, being in your body, being grounded, and fully opening yourself, fully opening to yourself and your partner, overcoming inhibition so you can just be more fully. And ultimately, what this is you're clearing these constrictions and how your life force flows through your body. And here's the biggest problem that I see in the world. Well, one of the biggest problems, there's several, but this was a problem I was noticing in myself, and I see it in a lot of others as well, is this basically when we're younger, when we're children, we have a free flow of life force through our body. And we feel spontaneous. We feel silly and creative. And like this is why kids are fun to be around. It's just like they don't give a fuck. They say whatever they want. They do all kinds of weird shit. And they don't care. And as we become teenagers and adults, we start to be more, constricted. Like, okay, others must approve of me. And so what happens is everyone starts to talk the same, everyone starts to do the same shit. Like there's no more individuality for a lot of people because they're just trying to fit in and just do what everyone else is doing. And you cannot be authentic when you are molding your behavior based on what you think others want you to be. You know what I mean? This is just a people pleasing habit. So this has been one of the biggest some of the most important work in my own journey is like just coming back into the free flow of life force in my mind and body, being free to do what I want to do, to express myself the way I want to express myself, like what's coming from me, what's coming from within me, not from what's coming from external pressures. And so when a man is doing this, he automatically becomes more confident in himself because it becomes no longer about like What does everyone out here think of me? And instead becomes, what do I think of myself? Do I like myself? Do I love myself? Do I enjoy being me, who I am, and doing what I'm doing? Or am I just doing stupid shit because of what other people think? You know what I mean? So when you can get more into that development of yourself, of it, really what it is just being centered. It's having self-love. It's having respect for yourself and like loving yourself. You know what I mean? You've got to be your own lover before someone else you can truly be someone else's lover and have a healthy relationship. And so that's a huge part of it. And it's a process. And this is a huge focus of my sex god course is learning to find that version of yourself, your true uninhibited, bold, expressive version of yourself that doesn't really give a fuck and can just have fun and live your life and like, not have to like make yourself smaller and be concerned about what others think of you. No, just be yourself. And guess what? That has the exact same effect in the bedroom. You're no longer like shy and inhibited. And, oh, am I going to ejaculate too quickly? It's like, no. You start, because a huge part of this process is getting to know your body. A lot of the training involves sexual practices to understand how does my nervous system respond to arousal? How can I calm it a little bit so that I can handle more arousal, so that I can handle more pleasure, so I can handle more full body orgasms without ejaculating? And when you can do that, then it develops this incredible experience. First of all, you reframe your experience of sexuality to be around shame and pain and guilt and all the bullshit into one of incredible bliss, incredible healing, incredible, just like, fuck yeah, energy. And that's now what you bring into intimacy. You feel good about yourself. You know what your body's capable of, and you're just playing and enjoying it and bringing a partner into it, and like, it's amazing. And this is really where becoming a masterful lover comes from, is just like knowing yourself, knowing your body, releasing these ingrained shame and tension patterns around sexuality. Like that's all it really is. I know that sounds really simple, and it is simple, but it is a process, because we always go back to what we're most comfortable and familiar with, which is the subconscious tension based patterns around sexuality. And that's where the sexual kung fu work really comes in, the techniques, the formal training process, because everything I've just talked about probably sounds great, but it's like, well, how the fuck do I do this? And just being aware of that is helpful. Like, you start to be aware of, for example, when you're in a social situation, how you're shutting yourself down, how you're tensing up and like constricting your voice, and you're not breathing properly. So you just relax. You expand instead of contracting. You relax, get out of your head, feel your feet on the earth, feel your breath from deep in your balls, and just be comfortable there. It's something you can choose to switch into just by focusing on releasing tension and breathing. But so a big part of this as well is talking about how these patterns are held within your body and your mind. These inhibitions, these negative stories, the negative self-talk, the self-doubt, the shame, all of that is held within your body, because you're choosing to hold. Well, at some level, you're choosing to hold on to it because you haven't been able to fully process it and let it go. And so this is why the techniques are important, because you need something to do when you're starting to shut down, to give your mind something to focus on instead of the worry, instead of the stories. So you breathe. That's the easiest thing, is you could just focus on your breath, making your breath deeper, making it longer, slowing it down. That's going to bring you out of fight or flight into your body. Because again, these inhibitions, these contraction patterns, they create constrictions of your life force. It makes your breathing worse. It causes you to hold patterns of tension that cause pain and inflammation in your body, and overstimulate your nervous system, keeping you in the fight or flight mode. So the techniques help you to do something to bring yourself back to the here and now, to the present moment. And when you do that, when you start to breathe, when you release the physical tension, you realize, oh, I'm not really going to die right now. It's just this stress response that my body's chosen to take on. Well, this is what I'm going to do instead. I'm now stepping into conscious. I'm becoming a creator of my reality in this moment. I'm directing my breath. I'm directing my body to release tension. And now you're in control. Now you're in the here and now. You're out of the stories from the past and the future, and you're fully in the present. And this is ultimately what it takes, is to retrain yourself to, when you're starting to go into a stress or tension response, you come back into the present moment. That's all it is. And there's physical things to do that. You breathe, you relax. And of course, things get even more advanced with sexual kung fu, because um, talking about having non-ejaculatory orgasms and complete ejaculation control, you've got to be in control of like where your sexual energy is in your body, because another thing that these shame and tension patterns do is it keeps your sexual energy, your genital energy, from being unintegrated from the rest of your body. It's stuck down here. It's like your genitals become this, just this separate thing, and you can only experience build up to orgasm as, only happening in the genitals, and then ejaculating out the genitals. You lose energy, you have a refractory period, you got to recover. We know the story. Well, by opening back up the nervous system and the pathway of communication between the genitals, the spine, the organs, the whole body, which it was meant to be, that's how you get into profound states of orgasm. This is how men become multi-orgasmic, have non-ejaculatory full body orgasm states. Is you're redirecting the energy to spread through your body, and you're redirecting yourself out of this out of this tension response of constriction, pelvic floor constriction patterns, and into relaxation. So the nervous system is freed up. The pleasure can spread through your whole body, and that feels pretty damn good. That feels incredible. And you can do this as many times as you want, over and over and over, as long as you want. You don't have to ejaculate and end the thing. You don't have to have a refractory period. Like, this is what it means. So all of this is this process of basically letting go of the old stories, the old you that had identified with having premature ejaculation or weak erections or being timid, having performance anxiety, blah, 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 blah. It's all story. It's all something you've become identified with, and you're still holding that tension in your body. Well, you can choose to let go of it, to do this training, and then it's gone. And now the new you is this multi-orgasmic sex god that's having immense levels of pleasure most men can only imagine. And you can imagine that this also makes you incredibly confident, because you train, you know what to do when you're becoming aroused, and instead of just being in your head stuck in worry and nervousness and timidity, in that moment you shift instead to, no, I've done that enough. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to relax. I'm going to connect with my partner. I'm going to expand my energy field. I'm going to breathe through the energy channels of my body to allow the sexual energy to spread, to ground myself, and like, boom, baby, now you're in control. Now you can become a beast in the bedroom. And any man can do this. Any man can do this. You just have to do the work. It takes practice. And I know we live in a busy world. You're also distracted by Instagram and TikTok and the news and the elections and blah, 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 OnlyFans, whatever it is. There's a lot of distractions. And so this is why, people get stuck, is they allow themselves to stay in the distractions. It's like, for a lot of people, this, they listen to content like this and it's like, yeah, sounds great, fantastic. But it's just another form of entertainment. Like, if you're not taking action on this, if you're not training, then what are you doing? You're just wasting your time listening to things you're never going to take action on. You know what I mean? So this is ultimately about doing the work, making it happen. Otherwise, you're just going to stay where you're at. So, that's it. You got to do the practice. So, yeah, there's, it's a process, and it's the most fulfilling process. This path of sexual kung fu, it will change you at a core level. Like, men do this training. I mean, I can say me, and I've experienced a lot, but you've heard that. And I'm always, working with men through my programs, and I'm seeing the results that they're having by doing this process. And it's incredible. Like, men going from being timid to being like very confident. They're approaching women, they're attracting amazing partners, they're having incredible sex, overcoming, um, premature ejaculation, going from lasting 30 seconds to lasting 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, hours. Look, one of my favorite things is getting messages from men saying like, Jonathan, I just had my first non-ejaculatory orgasm. It was fucking amazing. And like, holy shit, it's all paying off. So like this, this is my life. that's why I love doing this work, is because it's incredibly needed and it's the most transformational thing that you can do. Like when you get when you feel fully integrated sexually, because pleasure is important. Sexuality and sexual energy is an important part of our lives. And for a lot of people, it just contains pain and frustration. So they shut it down. And you're also shutting down your creative potential, your expansive potential. So when you go through this path, you become much more successful at whatever you're doing. You have more creativity. You have better ideas. There's more synchronicity in your life. You attract more money. You attract higher quality partners. You have much higher energy levels. You have focus, drive. You have purpose. You wake up in the morning feeling like, fuck yeah, I know what I'm doing with my life. I know where I'm going. And I'm also experiencing all this pleasure whenever I want. Like, it's amazing. It's incredible. What else can I say? So, kind of wrapping this part up, see there's a lot of questions, but if you're ready to go all the way into what I'm talking about here, then I highly recommend joining my Sex God course, which is open for registration right now. Registration's closing tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern time, so you've got about 8 hours to get in. There's a link in my Instagram profile in the bio. There's a link on this YouTube video as well. Just quick highlights of what you're going to get out of the course before I answer some questions here. Obviously, a big focus is overcoming stress-based patterns to sexual arousal, so you can completely overcome premature ejaculation, overcome performance anxiety, overcome porn addiction, have a healthy relationship to sexuality, releasing inhibitions that are preventing you from being your true self and connecting with others, unlocking your primal masculine power, and evolving into your sexual mastery. And you're going to learn, of course, to experience non-ejaculatory full body orgasms. There's a whole process of training you to experience that. And there's energetic practices, cultivation practices, breath work, qigong that gets you high. You can get high every day without having to take substances. You can begin your morning with a nice guided routine to get fucking charged up for the day. And basically, it's the liberation of your highest sexual potential, a highly charged sex life. And through this work, you become more spontaneous, more bold, more direct with others. You become more in your masculine nature. So also, there's polarity practices that you can use to develop your polarity, develop your masculine charge to maintain and intensify attraction and passion in long-term relationships. There's guided couples practices with this as well, and a lot of work around stepping into the masculine to become basically what the feminine desires. The feminine wants the masculine charge. And when you're stuck in these nice guy people pleasing patterns, you're neutralizing that charge. So there's a lot of work around stepping back into this positive masculine presence. Okay, so all that's in the course. That's what the focus is. And it's a year-long program. It's super comprehensive. I'm getting amazing feedback from men who've gone through it. So yeah, that's open until 9 p.m. tonight. So if you're interested, it's time to dive in. Okay, I see some questions. Archus is asking, what's your take on therapy? I think therapy has many benefits, of course. It's definitely helpful. Obviously, it's important to have someone to talk through some things with, but on a level of depth, I think therapy certainly has its limitations. Certainly talk therapy, because I know people who've been going to therapy for a year, 2 years, 10 years, and they're still having the same stuff over and over and over again. Clearly, they're not really getting to the root of the issue. So because talking is only going to get you so far, and it is helpful. It can certainly be a very helpful adjunct to this type of thing. But for me personally, I share what I've found to be the most effective in the dramatic transformations I've made in my life, and a lot of the and difficult shit I've gotten through and come out to the other side a completely different person. And what's most effective for me personally is going into the pattern itself, whatever it is you're working through. Again, we're talking about inhibition here. Well, it's usually being held in your body somewhere. Maybe it's for a lot of men, the pelvic floor tension is a component of this. It's a component of this feeling of vulnerability and sometimes the shame in the pelvic floor. So there's this tension, this armoring and protection around that area. You withhold your breath from it, you squeeze, and so So being aware of like, where am I holding this pattern in my body? How can I communicate with it? Because it's not about just like I need to get this pattern out of me. Like I've got this anger, I need to just fucking get rid of it. It's the enemy. Because this is all these patterns, these patterns we call negative, the shadow aspects we could say. They're a part of ourself that we have suppressed and held somewhere in the body and the mind. And so my approach is that you communicate with these. You go in and say, "Oh, okay, what am I holding on to? What's your story? Let me listen to you. Let me accept you because you are part of myself." And that through that you get a lot of insights. And there's a lot more to this as well. And this again is a huge part of the sex god course. Is like these practices to go into these things that you're holding on to, get clear on what it is, communicate with it, and work with it to reach a completion with it and dissolve it. There's a lot of techniques on this. So yeah, for me personally, that stuff's taken me dramatically farther than therapy could. So yeah, but again, it's important for some people. Okay, Kevin's asking about the difference between in the sex god course. So there's the 6 month VIP kind of upgrade, and then there's the normal program. So the course itself, it's a 12-month program, which gives you the access. Okay, you get access to the. It's a year-long program. Every week there's new training. There's an integration week on the 4th week of the month. Super integratable. There's practice schedules so you know what you're doing every day. There's a whole daily practice section of like extra practices to get you charged up for the day. Qigong, inner dissolving meditation, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of amazing stuff. And you also get access to, there's accountability calls once a week with an accountability coach, so you can stay motivated, connect with other men. There's a community to ask questions. I'm in there answering everyone's questions, connecting with other people. So all that is included within the course, and you have lifetime access to that when you pay for it. The VIP upgrade gets you group calls with me directly. So I do bi-weekly calls with the guys who are in the VIP program, and there's 2 calls a month. One of them is a just like connection Q&A call. We just say like, hey, what's going on with you in your life? Like, what's your challenges and whatever questions you have about, the material. And the other live practice is a guided training where we do live practice together, all kinds of stuff. Like sometimes we do Qigong, we do deeper aspects of like the sexual mastery. We'll do like masculine presence trainings, all kinds of stuff. So for 6 months, you get access to those bi-weekly calls with me. That's basically the VIP upgrade. And that's for the people who are really serious and like they're like, I want to go even deeper into this. I want to connect with other men and like go to the intensified next level of training with it. Okay, Brando Brando Z is asking, how do I stop watching corn? How do I stop watching porn? I'm very productive and stay active throughout the day. Well, here's the thing. And this is the question I get a lot, and I have a couple answers to this. The first one is you just stop doing it. Like it is simply a matter of discipline. It's simply a matter of willpower. It's simply a matter of deciding to exercise that part of you. Because here's the thing: decision making and like acting on impulses versus willpower. It's like exercising a muscle. And when if you've really exercised the muscle of simply caving into your desires and acting on it, because that's still an act of your will, but it's kind of the easy thing for you to do. So that's what you've strengthened, is your ability to act on impulse, and you're going to get better and better at that the more that you do it. Now, to do the opposite thing, which is to have the desire and the impulse to do something and then not do it, initially that is more difficult because that muscle is atrophied. But guess what? The more that you do it, the stronger that it gets. I mean, it's like anything. It's delaying gratification. It's like jumping into an ice bath or doing some hard project you've been avoiding. Like you just have to fucking do it. You can't really like. It's like people are waiting until it's like I'm waiting until it's easy for me to do this thing. It's like it's never going to be easy. So just fucking do it. Like ultimately when I realized porn was having a detrimental effect, I fucking stopped doing it. And like I would find myself having the desire to do it. It's like, okay, well that's interesting. There's a desire, but I know that nothing good's going to come from it. So like I'm not going to do it. I'm going to sit here, feel the desire to want to do it and not fucking do it. You know? So you can kind of make that into a meditation and like know that you're getting stronger every time that you do that. Something else I will share here though is that for me also on this aspect, when I was training in the sexual kung fu, like I was starting to do the self pleasure practices that I teach, which is to not just have this impulsive I'm jerking off to ejaculate, but instead seeing how much I can relax my body, deepen my breath, how much I can spread that energy throughout my body. And that started to become my new normal experience, and not ejaculate at the end. That started to become my new normal experience of sexuality. And and yeah, in the early days, I still like wanted to ejaculate, but I didn't all the time. But I noticed overall the whole day, I felt way better, way more energy, way more focus, way more confidence. And if when I would cave in and ejaculate or go back to watching porn, I felt really shitty. And like, yeah, there was like 2 minutes of oh, this is fun, and I felt like shit after that. So eventually, I was like, well, that's stupid. I shouldn't do that anymore, and I didn't. You know what I mean? So it's like you also have to kind of give yourself something better. Like maybe you're still watching porn because it's the best thing that you experience, but maybe that means that there's some new horizons you can explore, some better things that you can experience. That's what a big part of this training is dramatically expanding your sexual experience. Awesome, Alex. Glad you got everything sorted out. Welcome to the VIP. I'll see you on the calls. Okay, Thomas is asking, what about intrusive thoughts about searching compulsively some nice girls walking on the streets? I'm not exactly sure what that means. Like you're like checking out girls on the street, or you're like looking for nice girls to check out on the street. I'm not exactly sure about the the context of that. But when it comes to you say intrusive thoughts, so that's probably like it's like a thought that comes in your mind that is kind of impulsive, and you'd rather not have it. I mean, it's just like anything. Just like coming back to the porn thing, is the whole thing an important part, I would say, becoming a man, but definitely an important part of the sexual kung fu journey is learning and acting on the fact that not every thought has to control you. Like realizing that just because you have the desire to do something doesn't mean that you should do it. And I would say this is one of the biggest downfalls of well, it's a problem in modern society is people just do whatever the fuck impulses they feel like doing. And like, well, yeah, I'll just fucking get drunk every weekend and smoke weed every day and jerk off to porn every day and eat all this cake just because I feel like it. It's like, sure, if that's your choice, that's fine. But obviously, that's not going to get you very far in life. Like, if you want to do great things with your life, if you want to have an incredible, fulfilling life, then you can't just like cave into all this bullshit that your mind's telling you to do. It's always going to be there. This is the thing: is people want it to be easy. There's like, well, how can I just make these impulses and desires go away? Well, guess what? Well, as long as you live in this modern world where we're bombarded with temptation, sinful, dirty temptation, there's going to be there's going to be sexy images on the internet. There's going to be vices around you. And like, if you can't handle these things, like, fuck, you're not going to get very far. You know what I mean? You're always going to be a slave. So like, you have to exercise that muscle of your willpower to start saying no to these things. It's like, okay, yeah, the thought's there. Well, I'm not going to do it. And I think what's really helpful with this is having a daily practice. Like when I dedicated myself to, I'm going to practice qigong. Well, initially it was yoga. I'm going to practice every single day, my qigong practice. That started to develop that willpower and that kind of created the foundation of my discipline to not just like cave into doing stupid shit. Okay. Huxley Alex is asking, Husky Xavier is asking, in the Vedic traditions, they speak about a regimented time span between ejaculations. For example, my age group, they suggest once every 7 days. Do you think that this is healthy, or would you simply suggest to retain indefinitely while cultivating sexual energy? Good question, very relevant. And it's similar in the Taoist systems. There's different guidelines. Some of the Taoist texts give out like it's like a man in his 20s can ejaculate every 4 days, a man in his 30s every 8 days, and so on. Or like some say no more than twice a week. It varies. It varies based on sources. And I think overall these are good guidelines. Well, usually these are like, this is the minimum amount of time you should go between ejaculations. Like, it's not necessarily because you're 20, you should ejaculate every 4 days. It just means that if you are ejaculating every 4 days, you're not necessarily in an energetic gain, but you won't be deficient. However, I would say kind of a caveat in the modern age is that people are more deficient than ever. There's way more stress, way more like kind of things bombarding and sucking our energy. So I think the timelines usually should be increased a bit, but um, this will take experimentation. And as far as the question on indefinitely, for me, I would, when I was single, semen retention was indefinitely. It was just like, as long as I can. But now, when I'm in a relationship where I'm having sex all the time, most days I'm having sex, and it's been for quite a while now. Um, it changes because there's a different dynamic when you're having non-ejaculatory sex. You're building up tremendous amounts of energy exchanging that with your partner. It's a different context than being single. And because of that, I actually need to have, it seems to be most beneficial for me to have an ejaculation after about, right now it's about an average of 6 weeks. Every 6 weeks or so, it's time for me to ejaculate during sex. And that's only after 6 months of doing some serious cultivation. I'm drawing the energy from that every fucking day. It's becoming a fuel for, a lot of things I'm doing. It's a fuel for my internal alchemy practice. And before I ejaculate, it's like, at least like 30 minutes of sex, seriously drawing up the energy, and then ejaculating. And it's like shooting on an empty shell at that point. It's no big deal. So if you're sexually active and you're doing these practices, I would recommend an occasional ejaculation. It just helps kind of prevent any stagnance and buildup. Because otherwise, what happens for me if I doesn't, which is this is how I arrived at this conclusion, I found that my sex drive would often diminish after about that 6 week point. My erections would often become weaker, and like it seems like for me the endocrine system was kind of like not functioning as well. So that was part of it as well. So ultimately, though, it's about finding your own personal ideal interval, and that will vary based on the seasons, your age. Like, there's a lot of factors to it, which is why I actually use muscle testing to determine when it's time for me to let it rip, because then it's coming from my body. It's not coming from my ego or my like kind of manipulative mind. And as long as I followed that, like I've always felt fantastic. I have not felt like, the like you ejaculate and just feel like shit, and it's like regret, and you're like, damn, like I can't remember the last time I felt that. Like, it's been probably like 5 years. It's been a long time, because my whole dynamic of how my system is functioning in that regards is completely different now. So it happens when you do sexual kung fu. So you'll become sensitive to like when it's really time for you. You know what I mean? And it takes some experimentation. If you feel totally wiped out, totally fatigued for a day or two after ejaculating, then you should probably go for longer. Okay. Roshan's wanted to ask, not being a skeptical notion, but in a generic term, what's the probability of being a sex god as mentioned for the average man who's kind of a newbie and lack motivation? Well, with all of this, it's you get out of it what you put into it. So, you know, lacking motivation, if you're just starting out, I will say this: any man can become a sex god. You just have to want to be. You have to really want to be, and you have to work for it, and you have to keep training, even when you don't feel like it. Like, it's not like yeah, I'm gonna do this for a month, and then maybe not today, and then not this month. Like, it really has to be a consistent practice. It's consistency. That's what I would say. If you're consistent with it, if you're dedicated to it, it doesn't matter if you miss a day or two of practice here and there. But if you are, it's all about consistency. That's the number one thing. If because I can't say like yes, 100% if you begin this training, you're going to go to the highest levels because that's not on me. The system itself is fantastic. It's I feel like it's flawless. The sexual kung fu system is. What is not flawless is the human being and you know the ability for the human to see things through to the end. That's your own individual decision. That's your own individual day-to-day life. So, and that is the biggest factor is because here's the thing when a human being is truly committed, truly dedicated to doing something, they're gonna find a way. I mean, look at all the things humans have done. Look at the shit we've created. It's incredible. Technology, like the fact that I'm talking into this metal device and it's transmitting invisible waves into the air, then it's returning that waves into a screen that you're looking at, hearing my voice from the other side of the world. That's incredible. And that was simply because some dude was like, I'm gonna fucking do this. I'm gonna create this thing. And they did it. So that's the human spirit. That's the human drive. But unfortunately, it's a lot of people lack that. They're content to just like, no, I'm not gonna put in the hard work. So that's the thing. That's the thing. This is why it really is kind of a warrior's journey. This is why you become a sex god um, from dedication and training. I won't say it's easy. It's simple because all you have to do is follow instructions and literally like my courses, you have the whole path mapped out for you. Just follow the daily practice, just fucking do it. Just hit play on the video and fucking do it. That's all you have to do and start integrating the things into your life. But I know that human beings are human beings. People are going to find distractions and some people, not everyone, but some people will find distractions. They'll give up. Like there's nothing I can do about that. You know what I mean? That's you. So yeah, anyone can do it, but you have to really want to do it. There's a quote that I really like, which is persistence is genius. It's just persistence. You just keep fucking going. Even if you don't feel like it, even if you feel like a failure that day, you keep fucking going and you're going to succeed at some point. That's it. You just have to keep doing it. It's tenacity. Trust me, I had my fucking dead ends and roadblocks in my journey, but I didn't give up. I didn't stop. I kept going. Nathan Mars says, I have been circulating energy with Qigong and meditation because I am on semen retention. I felt sky high until I started to feel a come down. Felt sort of like a sharp burning sensation. Some say it's blockages. Sounds like an STI to me. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm not sure if there was more to that, but yeah, sometimes you create these dramatic high peak experiences and then kind of like drop off of them. Usually in that circumstance, it's like the endocrine system's really pumping, or it's like a really kind of peak back channel experience, yang, fire, rising energy, blowing up the head, often like a lack of grounding. So that's why I really enjoy, the Taoist practices of like really like for me, one of the most important aspects of my cultivation recently has been working with earth chi, the earth's energy, breathing through my feet, breathing through my legs. I've been charging up my legs like crazy, and holy shit, it's done incredible things for my qigong practice, my sexual practice, my sense of like well-being, vitality, groundedness, creativity. It's amazing. I released a video on YouTube called it's foot breathing, grounding exercise. It's a recent one, but that's a phenomenal practice. So grounding really helps to have less of like an up down sharp, you know, um, experience of feeling really good than feeling really down. I found a lot of the more overstimulating practices have more of that really up down effect. Genius Production says, I love your work on retention. It's such a life changer for me. I appreciate the work you do. You are a blessing to many of us. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that you're doing the work. You're getting the benefits of the practice. And like that's the whole thing is like, thank you for obviously you're doing something with what I'm sharing out here. So like you're keeping it alive. Like I wouldn't be here right now. Well, I would, but I wouldn't be interacting with so many people right now if so many people weren't interested in this and like on that if you were on your own journey of like self mastery. So it's like it's you guys. It really is you guys. You know what I mean? I'm just a dude doing some weird shit and like telling everyone else about it. That's all it really is. And yeah, I've spent a lot of time doing it, but we're all we're all in this together. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. Brian Santiago, what's up, Brian? Brian says, "You the man. Had amazing sex with my woman today using the sacral pump. That pump is life changing, bringing that pleasure into the brain and body and heart makes life so much more ecstatic." Oh, keep it going, Brian. Brian's doing it. He's pumping the sexual energy through his body. He's this is it. This is it. You do the thing. It works. Thank you, Brian. Oh, ah. Clark Loves Film says, "Did you have any bad side effects? From what?" Not sure where that was asked. Like depression at first, or you just deal with it. So I'm not sure like what in context you're talking to, but I will say that life is life. Yeah, I've had my ups and downs, and it's all there. And this journey isn't like perfectly sunshine and flowers and joyous every step of the journey. Like, here's the thing: working with, going back to like talking about working with these deep things we've been holding on to, it can be intense. Like when you start cultivating your sexual energy, you start to see like what's been held within your body, within your mind. Like a lot. To this day, I'm amazed like some of the subconscious things are surfacing. It's like, holy shit, I can't believe I've been holding that in my body. But then you really, so it's like it's kind of the healing journey is like the shit comes up because it's been buried in there, but at least, and it's a little intense in the moment. Like, oh, there's this existential terror from the past, this severe anger that my ancestors had, whatever it is. It comes up and you feel it, and it's like it's intense in the moment, but then you at least have an outlet to that. Like that's a big thing. Is I share like how to kind of deal with this healing crisis as you're going through it, and then afterwards you feel incredible. You feel cathartic. You feel light, and your face looks more youthful. You have more of a joyful spirit. It's like either you let the thing come out and be expressed and then it's gone, or you keep stuffing it down inside and it turns into a tumor or something. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. Okay, Gerald is asking how to make sperm healthy after age 55 for men. It's the same for a man of any age. There's this kind of myth that as men get older, their sexual function and is supposed to diminish and their testosterone will naturally decline. I think this is bullshit because basically people's bodies start going to shit as they get older because they're not really being taken care of. It's not like a direct like saying you don't take care of your body. It's just it's not easy to in the world we live in because number one, we're not really taught how to. Western medicine certainly hasn't given us the tools to stay healthy, and well, there's so much toxicity around us that it's not easy. It's not easy. Every day's a fucking war on this planet. That's for sure. Just to stay alive, just to stay healthy and vital. So having better sperm production, healthier sperm, ice your balls, keep them cold. Eat some maca root. That's a good sperm booster. Eat some pasture raised organ meats like beef liver. Oh, oh, yes. Plenty of saturated fats, in spite of what the fucking seed oil company lobbied bullshit will tell you. Saturated fats are great. Okay. We'll share something. I heard this thing in a book I was reading the other day. Well, actually, it was a book my wife was reading, talking about seed oils and the fact that this may not be true. I haven't fully researched it, but I suspect there's some truth to it. Basically, that the first documented heart attack just over 100 years ago occurred basically right after seed oils had been introduced to the population. No one ate fucking seed oils before like the 1910s. You know what I mean? Like they did not exist. They had to be so processed to be able even used as cooking oils. And what did our ancestors use for hundreds and thousands of years? animal fats, butter, tallow, fucking. Anyways, yeah, don't eat seed oils. Okay, avoid seed oils, avoid plastics. Detoxification, I think, is important for everyone. Check out my sexual vitality detox video on YouTube. But okay, really practical, simple things though. Ice your balls, massage your testicles every day. I've got a testicle massage video on my YouTube channel too. Um, get your essential nutrients, especially your essential minerals, zinc, magnesium, boron, selenium. I'm adding an iodine now because that's another big one. Exercise, lower stress. Don't ejaculate too frequently. Like go a couple weeks between ejaculations at least, or try that. Try like a week or two between ejaculations. That will probably give you better sperm productions. There's more, but I think that's some simple takeaways. Okay. Another question. If a man consumes his own semen orally, if he goes over the edge, does it help him to retain the nutrients he would otherwise lose? I mean, it makes sense that it would happen. Some of my teachers recommended this, where if you ejaculate, you eat it, consume it afterwards. It's not going to like prevent the refractory period or anything because it's really, I guess, not a whole lot different than just like eating a lot of nutrient dense foods. But yeah, you are kind of hopefully, like because your stomach acid would probably destroy some of that. I don't really know, but I imagine you're able to, yeah, reabsorb a lot of the nutrients and trace minerals and everything that you skeet shot out. So makes sense. No reason not to. And maybe I've done it a time or two. What am I to say? I'm not just gonna throw that shit down the drain. I got this jar in the fridge. No, I'm just kidding. Though I could probably make millions off that shit. I know some of you guys would buy it. Let's not go there. Okay. Tuomo is asking, is a reverse Kegel alone capable of separating orgasm from ejaculation, or is pumping up the energy from the spine necessary during the whole session? Well, there's a lot of factors here. Like it a lot of men asking this question under the kind of frame that to have a non-ejaculatory orgasm requires you to, at the last moment of when you're starting to have an ejaculatory orgasm, that you do something to keep the fluid from moving out but still having that same orgasm. And now, yeah, there's a lot of techniques to do that type of stuff, and I've taught a couple basic ones myself, but that's not really, for the most part, what I'm talking about when I'm talking about non-ejaculatory orgasms and circulating sexual energy through the body. But in the context of that, it would be possible theoretically to use reverse Kegel to get like right at the edge and then just barely start hitting that ejaculatory orgasm. Using reverse Kegel to avoid the pumping contractions to shoot the sperm out. But as far as the more sexual kung fu practice, which is you're turning your whole spine into a cock, so that you get the buildup in your whole body. Reverse Kegel will help with this, but what's more helpful is having the ability to draw the sexual energy in there as well. Now, for some men, simply holding the awareness in the spine plus reverse Kegeling could do it. If you really have this like mind body integration, this open energy channels as well. But for me personally, at least for a while, like I to be honest, I don't use reverse Kegels that much anymore. They were kind of a training tool for me to overcome the like involuntary squeezing, but now I can just relax and not squeeze my pelvic floor just from like relaxation for the most part. Like I actually, to be honest, I rarely use reverse Kegels now because they served me well at a point in my journey, and then I went beyond. That's kind of how sexual kung fu is. It's always evolving. You're always kind of arriving at these different levels of mastery, and things can kind of change throughout that. You'll learn more about that in some of the courses. But yeah, reverse Kegels are great. And there's no real like simple answer to this because everyone's journey of experiencing this is going to be different. But I would say that potentially, yes, reverse Kegels could be a big component of this for you. But I imagine that some work of circulating the sexual energy with your mind is going to be very helpful with this too. as well as just relaxing the whole body and getting out of like a goal oriented. I need to have an orgasm, and just because it's the non ejaculatory orgasm state's really about um, it's just about it's partially about releasing all expectation, releasing trying to get anywhere, and almost just like meditating on what you are feeling and releasing tension so deeply and so profoundly that your whole body starts to become like a sexual organ. Huxley's saying, you're very knowledgeable about these topics of discussion. I feel like I have a full comprehension of the subject matter of sexual mastery because I've been tuning into your channel. Pays off. Hey, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, you heard it, guys. Like, you don't need anything else but my channel now. It's like, well, here's the thing. Like, I learned this from, well, many things. Consuming like all of all the like books and trainings I could find, but more than that, studying with teachers, like finding teachers, training with them. And then I would say, like, almost equally important, spending a lot of goddamn time training, practicing, and then experimenting to see, like, is this true? Is this not true? What if this works instead? Like, a lot of my practices are not like that I teach now are the result of like just my own personal experimentation. Like, I've created some techniques that I teach now. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm glad that it's helpful. All right. Since Huxley's talking about the Angel method, saying that it's rendering significant results. Angel method's awesome. Um, I also teach this in as a bonus in my courses, is the Rock Hard Erection program. But okay, talking about the Angel method. Those of you who follow this, probably a small percentage of the audience, but if you know what the Angel wheel is, I would bust it out, but I don't want to go grab it right now. But I started using this thing. Actually, I bought it a couple years ago, but I wasn't quite ready for it. But now that's what I'm using for Angel method, is the fucking wheel that this crazy bastard Janice made. It's amazing. Um, it's basically a pump for blood to just through your penis, like you're moving your fingers 100 miles an hour at once, just fucking move blood through the penis. This will not work for beginners. It didn't work for me until I developed enough kind of blood vessel capacity in my penis. But once I did, holy shit, the erections are incredible. Yeah, Angel method's the real deal. Vin, what's up, brother? My bro from Europe, multi-orgasm me sure, man. Let's all work on becoming sex gods. Step in the best version of our true selves, make women a lot more happy, and make the world a better place. Amen to that. Yeah, the world will be. I will say the world will be a much different place when a lot more men are really embodying this. They're in mastery of their sexual energy. Um, no more this bullshit, dark, porn driven, very destructive version of sexuality that a lot of people are stuck in, and much more love, more pleasure, more joy, more harmony and balance, peace, man. but seriously, it's like, yeah, it's you know people doing the work. That's what's doing it. Okay, toe in 80s asking, is edging with trainer a toy head trainer sex toy good to practice with? I'm not exactly sure what a toy head trainer is, but as far as like some kind of like, masturbation toy, device, tool, whatever you want to call it, it can be good. Yeah, I actually, and in the in the sex god course, I recommend certain practices that you do with a fleshlight type device, and I even share my own personal customization that I did when I was using one to make it less exaggeratedly stimulating. Which a lot of the design's terrible. It's just designed to make you ejaculate as quickly as possible, which you could say can be good training, but if you're not that level, it's just gonna like make the issue worse. So, but yes, in general, it could be beneficial if it's not one that's just like overstimulating you and actually strengthening this like death grip pelvic floor squeezing response you may have to sexual stimulation. Black Male says, I watched your video back in 2022 where you talk about sexual energy. I just randomly want to see again that video, but saw you were live, but you're a completely different person. You glowed up. Yeah. So talking about what I was talking about at the beginning of this video, like releasing inhibitions, releasing these contracted patterns, like, yeah, it's been a big part of my journey. And I have changed dramatically in the past years. I mean, if you go back to my first videos I made in 2017, then you go, you can see my development over my journey of sexual kung fu channel. Like, as again, because I'm doing what I'm talking about, and it's because it works. And this is what happens when you do this stuff: is you change, you transform, you become more of yourself, you become more spontaneous, more bold, more expressive. You become more of you. That's what happens. Huxley's asking, where do I get the Angion meal? How much is it? I think it was about 200 when I um, bought it. You have to. I'm not sure if Janice is still selling them on Etsy. Like, I know he's like hand making them, and he only like, it took me like a month or more to get it. But he's got a. I'm trying to think of where. Yeah, if you look at for maybe Janice Bifrons on Etsy, I think he has a Patreon too. I'm not sure how you get in touch with him, but yeah, I picked it up a couple years ago. I believe it was off Etsy. Is where he was selling them. Nostalgia. Wow. Nostalgia has been following me since 2017. You've been here since the original days. We got an OG right here. That's awesome, man. Um, yeah, it's been a journey, hasn't it? I've become a man. I started growing hairs in places I didn't understand. David Barrick, send my team a message, info at jonathanwhitelifestyle.com. See what we can do. And from Germany. Awesome. Glad you're find the content helpful, brother. Got a lot. There's a fair amount of people, a fair amount of you in Germany. I'm like, I'm definitely gonna have to do a German retreat, and it just so happens that I have a lot of German blood, so it will be a great reunion. The Germans, and yeah, do some sexual kung fu in Germany one of these days. All right, guys. Thanks everyone for joining. Great to see you guys. Once again, Sex God course registration is closing tonight at 9 p.m. Pacific time. You've got 7 hours now to get in. There's a link, Instagram bio, link in this YouTube description. It's a full path to becoming a sex god. What can I say? All right. Best wishes, everybody. And we'll see you next time.